All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of A Chat with Matt. Today, I'm joined by another CMAO four-time nominee, Nicole Rayy. Nicole, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. It's kind of a within 24 hours thing that kind of happened, but I'm happy that we made this work so quickly.
Right? Yeah. Perfect timing.
So how's pandemic life treating you? We're both just chilling out, casual, living our best life.
Yeah, see him hang out in my sweats. Trying to stay active the best I can. I was just working out before this. I feel like I need any kind of movement in the day to just feel a little bit more sane about being stuck in the same house all this time.
So you've taken up is were you always doing exercising? Because a lot of people were before the pandemic kind of too busy to do that, but now that you have a bit more time, did you start doing it more, less, or is it something new that you kind of introduced into your life?
So I'm a very active person. I've always been a working out person. I just personally need it for my, mental health, even before the pandemic. But I've been doing some fun new workout programs from home and kind of challenging some people. My dad and I are actually facing off going through a workout program right now and keeping each other motivated. So that's been pretty fun.
What are you doing for that workout competition? It's kind of like how many kilometers you can run, how many reps of certain things you can do, calories burned.
um, It's an online service. It's called Beachbody. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it, but they have like an online, it's kind of like Netflix, but for working out. And they have all these different programs you could try. And so we're doing one called 9 Week Control Freak. And we're just kind of, yeah, challenging each other, seeing who can do better, seeing who can lift heavier and push each other to get through the 9 weeks.
Is that something that you've always had in you in terms of like that competition aspect to like make yourself push harder and push yourself towards certain goals?
Absolutely. I'm a very determined person. So once I start something, I have to finish it. Particularly with working out, I'm like that. If I start a program, there's no giving up. I got to get through it till the end.
I get it. I get it. I wish I could say the same. I haven't gone there yet. I've been too lazy, but I'm trying to get the motivation to get up and work out.
It's hard to start. That is the hardest part. I will say that. Once you're going, then you're going, but it's hard to get off the couch initially.
It's that first few weeks or something like that I hear. It's that like 3 week window, but once you make it past that, it just becomes more of who you are.
Yeah, they say it takes 21 days to form a habit. So once you're past that, you're
Mm,
good.
okay. So 3 weeks. Whew, I just got tired just thinking about
You
three
can
weeks.
do
Jesus.
it.
Oh, well, I appreciate the support. I'm curious, how has the pandemic treated your music career? Because I have to say, congratulations on the four nominations with the CMAOs. That's fantastic, including Album of the Year.
Thank you.
So yeah, how has pandemic life been treating you and your career and everything that's been going on?
Well, I was really worried at the beginning because, I knew this would have an impact on the music industry. And I just felt that I had been making such strides in my career before the pandemic that I didn't want this to kind of be a roadblock or feel like it was like time off and I'd have to start over afterwards. And so I've kind of just made it a goal to be as busy as I can and just kind of create opportunities for myself during this time. And I'm happy to say that like the pandemic has been somewhat of a weird blessing in disguise for me because it has really pushed my career to a new level and given me the opportunity to work on some things I wouldn't have had time for before, write with new people, collaborate with new people. So in all, as much as I would love to be out and seeing everybody on the stage, I am grateful for this time and what it's given me.
And that's the interesting thing that I've seen commonality wise between all the industry people I've talked to. It's the ability to you're forced to stop and reflect on everything that you have going on, and then you can kind of reevaluate yourself and adjust and evolve to the circumstances. And then you realize that there's a whole different aspect of your career or job or whatever you're doing that you may not have been pursuing before, and it's allowed you to grow in a different kind of way.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we're always trying to, I feel like everyone, no matter what your job is, we're trying to fit in so many things in a day, and we're always running and and trying to get it all done. And I think this has given everyone the opportunity to maybe kind of slow down just a little bit and focus on what's really important and take time for those things that and those skills that you might have not had time for in the past.
How do you think that's going to carry over once things get more to a stable kind of normality in which, like, a lot, this concept I've kind of talked with a few different people and try to get a rough idea about it. It's how much of this is going to carry over once things are normal in terms of either different aspects of your career that you've been developing, or amalgamating the two into one thing, splitting your attention. It's kind of a weird question, but I don't know if you've thought about it.
No, I mean, obviously people will be excited to get back to the stage and kind of focus more on that aspect of their career once we can. But I think this time where everybody's had time to kind of hone their craft and work on their writing and things like that, that we're going to have a whole new level of artists when we get back to the scene, like particularly in the Canadian country music scene. Just everybody that I've been working with and writing with has been writing their best stuff right now. And it's given them the opportunity to really focus on that. And I think when we get back to normal life, it's just going to have raised the bar, and everybody's going to have so much new music and new talent to bring to the stage.
Yeah, it's really allowed people to take that time, because the issue that I had with the industry, especially before all this happened, was everything felt very rushed at certain points. Like, obviously the quality product stands out at the end of the day, but a lot of things just felt like you're putting it, some people are putting out content to put out content, as opposed to taking the time to think about what is the purpose of this content, what is the story of this content, what is the meaning of this content. And this pandemic has allowed people to raise that bar, and we're definitely going to see a divide between the people who pushed and continued to grow versus the people who didn't. And in Canadian country especially, and I've only got into Canadian country in the past few months because I was so involved with the rock scene before that, and I had a conversation with Jeff Dalziel, and then I most recently had a conversation with Dave Boyd James. And I'm truly fascinated with a lot of the artists that Canada has, because country has that stereotype, and especially, like, and David and I were talking about this the other day, like Toronto especially, like, it's not a country centric city. And
Right.
seeing a lot of the artists that are doing so well on the charts right now, and all the amazing talent that was nominated for the CMAOs, it truly surprised me that I am, many of my colleagues and other people I know haven't really appreciated or taken the time to get into what is going on in the Canadian country scene.
Yeah, I don't know why. I've talked about this in a couple different interviews, and it's hard to sort of put a finger on why it is. But for some reason, yeah, the Canadian country music industry still feels like it's underrated a little bit. Like we're always one step behind what the American country scene is doing. But I feel like we have so much talent here that it's a shame that it's kind of overlooked sometimes, because I feel like sometimes maybe for fans too, you kind of look outside your hometown to find the people that you look up to, but you really don't need to, because close to home we have so many amazing artists. And I hope that there's a shift at some point in just how the Canadians are seen in the industry.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, because, like, if you look at, like, charts, especially right now, like, a lot of the American charts have Canadian acts in it, and America's always received country music differently than Canada has. And I don't know whether that's to do with the stigmas or stereotypes that come along with country music, especially in Canada, or is it an industry thing where there's not enough of a push towards Canadian country? Because upon just doing the most recent research and interviews I have into Canadian country, like, it's, you nailed it on the head with that. It's significantly underrated. And I'm truly surprised that a lot more of these acts, and I've been going through, just, I made a playlist of a bunch of different Canadian country acts just so I can start absorbing some of the content. And I'm truly blown away that Canadian country isn't at a more recognized level in our country.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And like I said, I really hope there is a shift at some point. I think it's starting. I think people are starting to recognize that we just have so much talent here in Canada that at some point it's not going to be able to be overlooked just because of the talent that we have and the caliber of talent that we have here.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, my favorite thing with country right now, especially in this time where people are being so self-reflective and understanding the circumstances of their reality, it's the storytelling that's always been there in country music and has evolved into more visual kind of lyricism, as well as just exploring more creative outlets in terms of creating and writing country music. For you specifically, I'm very curious about this. What kind of approach do you take when you're composing your music and working on your stuff, like in terms of lyricism, musicality, all that aspect? Like what pushes you when you create?
Well, for me, like you said, the story is a big part of it. That's what I've always loved most about country music as well, is that it always tells a story. It's always about something that we can relate to. And for me, that's just what I've always wanted to create with my music. You know, when I was younger and listening to music growing up, there would be songs that kind of made me feel less alone in whatever I was going through, because you could tell somebody was telling their true honest story that you could relate to. And so that's what I am always pushing for my music to do as well. I want to be as honest as I can and tell stories that really resonate with me and come from my real life situations and what's going on. As far as the music, I grew up listening to pretty much every genre under the sun. So, in terms of the musicality for my songs, I like pulling in elements of other genres beyond country as well. My music is very, crossover country pop, country rock, just because I love bringing in musical elements from those other genres. But it really does always come back to the story for me with the lyrics.
And you mentioned just now you had an eclectic background of music growing up and listening to all sorts of different things. What drew you into country music specifically? Like what moment or what significant event may have happened, or just general draw that's made you want to follow the country path?
Well, definitely Shania Twain had a lot to do with it.
And we're on the same page, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. I used to listen to her CDs in my little CD Walkman. I just remember carrying them around all the time, and I would always listen to her music growing up. And again, it was the stories. I always felt like she was so honest with her music, and you'd listen and you'd relate and think, "Oh, she's singing this, just for me." And I remember I actually sang a Shania Twain song at a school play. It was a production of Footloose, but they had in the little scene in the bar where they go to like the country bar in the play. And I was the singer at the bar, and I got to sing this Shania Twain song in front of the whole school. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, yeah, this is the music that I want to be singing. This is, the stories that I want to be telling, and hope that people relate to it like I do when I listen.
You know I'm going to ask what song it is. I have to.
It was No One Needs to Know.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, an old one, but one of my favorites to this day. Just such a great tune. I mean, I don't think she has a bad one.
I mean, I have to agree with you on that. Shania is just the creme de la creme of that
Right.
Canadian country crossover pop rock genre, and honestly a phenomenal example of what young Canadian country acts and just all acts in general should strive for, because she's had a very interesting career in terms of the journey she's been on from beginning to now. And saying everyone's, especially when she said she was done and then she came back a few years later and did the most recent album and the tour, and I'm very excited to see where she goes, and she's back creating music.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what's next for her. And she's just always been one to kind of push the boundaries, and you can tell she does what she wants for her career, like it feels authentic to me that she's making the music that she wants to make and sharing really the true her through her music. And I think that's what we all strive to do as artists, or at least what I feel like we should strive to do, because it's so easy. I think, to tell as listeners of music when something's just bullshit. And it comes across just so much better when an artist is just really sharing the true them through their music.
Once again, we're on the same page here, because the issues, some of the issues that I've had, especially in music creation, whether that be, well, it happens in all genres, but it's the lack of authenticity or story or just connection with a song. Because like you, I can listen to any genre of music, and the biggest thing I look for is connection to that song. Why is the reason me as consumer or listener, whatever term you want to use, is going to go to that song, go to that album, go to that artist, connect with that artist, go pay for tickets, go pay for merch, whatever it is. And this pandemic has shown that people crave authenticity and personal connection in the content they consume. And I truly believe that, like you said earlier, it's raised the bar in terms of standard for that content creation. And I truly hope that, like, the trend of, just pushing out music that will hit number one because the general populace will find it catchy for 15 minutes, as opposed to creating something with substance and meaning and depth and emotion, because audiences are so much smarter than the industry gives them credit for time to time. And, like, especially the albums in the past year, like what was one album that kind of just knocked me on my ass? Honestly, like the two Taylor Swift records she dropped back to back,
Oh my gosh,
not
amazing.
blew me away. And I think that's what we need more of, is just people writing what they want to write and doing what they want to do. And I commend you on pushing that and doing that. And clearly it's working for you with your nominations and everything you got going on. So let me kind of turn it more to the live aspect now. Like, when people are on stage, and especially in country, I've noticed there's a certain level of emotion. There's a certain level of passion that's carried over compared to other genres I've seen. And for you, when you're live, when you're like singing a song that has some sort of depth or meaning and significance in your life, like, tell me about the emotion that comes across when you're on stage in that moment.
Well, for me, it really, I feel like, always comes out depending on what the song is. The emotion of that song comes out while I'm singing it, even if I'm kind of miles away from that feeling of when I wrote the song, whether it be a breakup song and now I'm happily in a relationship. I feel like when I'm in the moment on the stage singing that song, I'm singing it with the emotion of exactly how I felt when it happened. And for me, that's just been the best way to be an expressive artist and be an authentic artist and be an emotional artist, is that I'm not afraid to just sing it exactly how I'm feeling. I think there's something really great about a more calculated performance where you maybe like choreograph something, which, happens a lot more in pop and other genres where there's dance routines and other things. And that all makes it very entertaining as well. But for me, it goes back to that connecting with the artist. And so I'm trying to connect with my audience as the artist. And the best way to do that is just sing it honestly and let the true emotion of whatever I'm feeling while I'm singing that song just come out naturally.
And that's the way it should be. It's a very simplistic approach where you just feel it in the moment. You feel what you're feeling and you express it openly without fear of judgment, without fear of anything. Just, this is what I'm feeling in this moment. I'm going to express it in that way. And to the credit of those pop performances or whatever it is, with all the choreographed lighting, dance routine, fireworks, whatever bullshit they want to add to it, at the end of the day, you can put up as many smoke screens as you want, but if a song doesn't connect, a song doesn't connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can add all the bells and whistles, but it really does come down to the song at the end of the day and what people feel when they're listening to you sing that song.
So yeah, something I came across, kind of turning the point again, is all woman. Tell me about all woman.
So this was something that I started. It was right before the pandemic began, actually, and it was originally supposed to be a live showcase in venues. And the point of it was to give more opportunities to female artists. Unfortunately, we all kind of know in the industry that things are still not quite equal for men and women, and how we're perceived, and what kind of airtime we get and festival slots and things like that. And so I really just wanted to create a platform that said, hey, there are so many amazing talented females that you're overlooking. Like, we're going to come together and form something great and give these females an audience and somewhere to enjoy this music. And of course, now it's gone to the online way, since we can't do it in venues right now. But in a way, it's actually been more rewarding doing it online, because I've been able to have females on the lineup from all over the place. I mean, of course, being from Ontario, it was all going to be centered here, but now I've had artists from all across Canada and the US, and it's my favorite show that I get to do every month. It's just so much fun to be surrounded by these amazing women, and hear what they're doing and how they're pushing the genre. And I look forward to doing it many more, and hopefully in person too, once we can.
And something that really bothers me is the fact that the industry hasn't become more equalized in terms of opportunities for men, women, who and however anyone else identifies. It's mind blowing to me, because I hate when people look at something and focus on a gender as opposed to the material and the merit that comes with that. Because the simplest way that things should be approached, and this is how I approach everything, is the song good? Does the
Right.
song hit? Does the song land? Because at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to look at a gender when I'm making decisions on something. If someone is qualified for a job, if someone has a great song, if someone's a great live act that deserves a great slot on a festival, they should get that slot because they deserve it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing I've kind of been fighting for, is just equal opportunity. Because, I'm not trying to say that females are better than males, or there's like, all these better female artists than male artists. It's just that for some reason we still don't have the same opportunity. And you're just so right. Like, it really needs to just come back to the song, and instead of being like, oh, well, in the past, male artists, their sales have done better, so we're just going to give more opportunity to listen to these male songs over a female song, just does not sit right with me. I don't really care statistically what the past has said, because if we don't give opportunity to listen to women, we'll never know if people like it just the same as they like a male artist.
I mean, fuck the past. We're not there.
Right.
We're in today. We're in now, and we're looking towards the future. And the future needs to be more equal in terms of those opportunities. And I, that just blows my mind that people are still like that in terms of like booking or touring.
Right.
And what that's the thing. Like, and there's that stereotype of the music industry being a boys' club or whatever it is, whether it be in the business side itself or on the artist side in genres. But it really comes down to the fact that they're not giving the opportunities that they should across the board. And that's
Absolutely.
why I want to bring this up with you, because I knew the show had something to do with that. And it's phenomenal that you are giving artists, female artists, an opportunity to show what they're working on a showcase, because there's not many platforms that do that. And I fully commend you on doing that. And I cannot wait to see where the show goes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been very important to me to give this opportunity to women, and just to have us come together and be able to work with one another as well, because I think that's another thing that the industry does. It kind of, pits women against each other, like we're supposed to be in this competition because there's only so much room for, women. And I just think that's so unfair and puts us in an incredibly terrible position, thinking that we got to fight with each other. And this has given me the opportunity to really make friends with all these women and really show that we are on the same team here.
That's a huge thing in this industry, and especially in certain genres you see that, like either at a major label or even at some indie labels I've seen. It's there's almost competition between camps because album sales and radio numbers and charting and all that shit, and it's like, who cares? There's enough room for everyone. If someone is good, then let them in, let them be good.
Absolutely. And of course, yeah, it's tricky with the music industry being a business. Some people think of it obviously just on that side of things. And so, the numbers and the money is important to them. But as an artist, I just see so much talent. And I know there's room for anybody who's talented and who wants to work hard and be there.
Yeah, music, and on more of a broad kind of scale, in my view, I don't view music as a competition. Right, I have a bunch of friends releasing music right now. I'm working on dropping a debut single for my project, but the thing is, I'm not comparing myself to them. I'm supporting them. I'm celebrating them, and I think that's what we should do. We should be celebrating art,
Yeah.
because people who create art are putting themselves out there and exposing themselves in a way where many people don't do that. And especially depending on the content of the music, it could be very raw expression. It could be very open expression into that person's mind, into their soul, whatever it is. So we should be celebrating the fact that people are willing to expose themselves for art and telling their story so they can connect with people and even potentially help people get through difficult times, breakups, death, whatever it is. And music's too amazing of a platform to focus on that hyper competition. And yes, money is important. Whoop de doo, that makes the world go round. Yay. But art is art, and we should not put a price tag on art, and we should support each other in all avenues of that.
I couldn't agree more. Art is like such a special form of expression, and in some ways we really do need to eliminate looking at it like a business and focus on whether good art is being put out there.
And that's also an issue I have with a platform like Spotify. And I know this came out a while ago, and I don't know if he's retracted the statement or not, but Daniel Ek, as I like to call him, pushing artists to try and release music every week to get play. That's not how art should be looked at. It should be, is this song ready? Like, I've been sitting on this first single for over a year, and I just finished scratch tracks on it, and I'm not in any rush to get the track done because I want to make sure I'm 100% happy with that. And that's honestly a piece of advice I can give to any artist. Never put something out, whether it's a music video, a single, an album, any piece of content. You should never put something out unless you're 100% happy with it, because then you're just going to sit later on, just look at it and be like, well, I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently. And life is too short to focus on those little nitpicky things. So just take the time and do what you want. It's not a race.
Absolutely.
So Nicole, I'm just so fascinated with your journey, because kind of take me to from the beginning of your career to now, and just the journey of it all. Because with country singers, I always want to understand the path to then and now.
So, well, I guess this year actually has been 10 years in the industry for me.
Congratulations.
Woo, thank you. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2010, and then in 2011, I went off to university and didn't really study or focus on school because I was too preoccupied with music. And at that point, I knew I really wanted to pursue it full time. And so, yeah, I dropped out of school and I put together my first little homemade music video, which was super embarrassing. It should never be seen by anyone ever again.
You should release it for your 10 years.
Oh gosh, I know. Maybe I will put out a little clip just because it would be funny. But and off that, I met a friend of my dad's who was friends with this guy who owned a studio. And that was really how I got my start. I started going to this studio and I started working with some writers and a producer and really got going and put out my first ever single and then worked towards my first EP. And after that, I met Anya Wilson, who's a radio tracker. She's been in the industry a very long time and she's amazing. She's worked with some of the best. And she took me under her wing and kind of, showed me the ropes and introduced me to people because I had no idea what I was doing at this point. And she introduced me to my first manager, Janice Startup. She is no longer with us, so we miss you, Janice, every day. But she was the best manager ever. She was the most hands-on person and was involved in pretty much every aspect of my career and helped me put my second album together. And after I lost her, I was kind of a little bit lost in the industry for a little while. And then I really figured out that at that point, I had learned so much. I had kind of figured out more of the music that I wanted to put out as an artist. And then I kind of figured out that if I was going to really do this thing and keep going, that I would have to really focus on making decisions for me and exactly what I want to do as an artist. Because in the beginning, and we kind of talked about it before, it's like, you sometimes feel rushed or you feel pressured by the industry. And I think I felt that a lot in the beginning because I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing. And now having 10 years experience in this industry, I've learned so much. I've learned, not only the art side, but the business side as well, and making decisions when it comes to that. And now I truly kind of feel like after 10 years, I'm finally brave enough to kind of put out the music and that I want to make and say exactly what I want to say. And I feel like things are kind of coming together for me more because of that. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but really once you are authentic, like we were talking about, I think it comes together for you as an artist and for your career.
What would be the biggest pitfall to avoid, like towards a new artist? What would be that biggest pitfall to make sure they avoid so they don't fall into the trap of never putting out music or just a cycle of negativity or anything like that?
Trust your gut. You gotta trust your gut in what it's telling you to do. And it's so hard, especially if you're a new artist, because you'll meet all these people who have this experience in the industry and they kind of trick you into thinking that, they're smarter than you and they know what's best for you in your career. And it's great to get advice from good people. And there are a lot of good people out there, but there are also a lot of people who, are just about the business and they're kind of just after your money and they don't care about your authentic self. And so, the biggest advice I think I could give is just trust your gut and go with what your gut is telling you is the best for you and your career.
That's honestly a phenomenal piece of advice, because so many young artists especially can get caught up in that trap of the snakes, as I call them. Snakes or sharks, it depends on if you want to pick land or water, but it's the people in the industry that take advantage and are literally just looking for a paycheck, don't really care what content you put out, don't care about the quality of the content. Like, the most successful people in the industry have the best people around them, not because they have to have them around, because they choose to have them around because of the quality of the work and the quality of your people. And I can imagine you have a wonderful team around you that is helping you push and making all your country dreams come true.
I do. I'm very lucky. I have a team of mostly women, so girl power. I have my new manager, Jordan, who is wonderful. And actually, my mom is a big part of the team. She is not a momager, though. She would like everyone to know that.
I was about to ask, like, don't tell me it's a momager. I can't. No. I can't.
She hates that. She hates that so much. But she's like, first of all, she's like on the accountant side. She crunches the numbers, which is good because I've never been good at math. But she's like very much like the consultant and all of this. Like sometimes, as an artist, you just need somebody to talk to and like talk it all out with and bounce ideas off of just to make sure, you're not crazy. And so she's always been that for me. And I also work with Tyler, who does my online like marketing and those kind of plans. She's amazing. And I also work with Jess Aguirre. She does my press. And then the boys are the producers. I work with Brian House. He's a great producer and produced my last couple of songs, as well as some new music that I have coming up. So I'm very lucky. It's, it has taken some time to find genuine people, like you said, and be surrounded by the right people that are working with you for the right reasons. I have had a lot of people that I feel like were just kind of, attaching themselves to me for the paycheck. And now I feel like I really have people that believe in me and believe in what I want to say and the art that I want to create and put out. And that's what makes a great team.
That's the best thing to do. And there's never too long of a period when you're assembling your team, because you have to have those right people around you. And the fact that you have your mom on your team is something I completely respect, because at the end of the day, mothers do know best. Mothers can sniff out the bullshit like there's nothing. And it's amazing that she's in there to help you on your journey. You have all those wonderful people, and also mostly women. That's a huge plus as well. Girl power, show the representation.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what does the future look like for you? Because we're at the 10-year mark. Something
Yes.
like whenever I talk to a developing band, I always ask them the 2, 5, 10. So like, where are you in 2, 5, 10 years? Now that we're at the 10-year mark, where do you see yourself in 12, 15, 20 years, even if you want to be so bold?
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like I've gained a lot of momentum, like I said, especially in the past couple of years, that, I would hope in the next, few, that I'll have gained even more. I mean, for me, it's hard to say that as an artist we do it to make money, because a lot of us don't. So, it's never really been about that for me, but it's also about being able to pursue my dream and my career and, provide a stable income for myself and whatever future family that I would like to have. And so for me, that's my hope, is that, 5 years from now, that I'm still getting to make the music that I love, while also, having a stable career that supports me and my family. And I also feel like at the 10-year mark, like I said, I'm finally figuring out, the music that I want to put out as an artist. And it's crazy because, going along as an artist, you think the whole time like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing right now. And if, I'll be famous in like 2 years, obviously. But now that I've been doing it for 10 years, I'm like, okay, I see why it takes 10 years for artists to like build their brands and careers, because it really does take this long to figure out what you're doing. And I just actually was able to record some brand new music, and my producer and I were just talking about how these songs are the most authentic that we've ever done together and the most me. And so I'm really excited to put those songs out and see what momentum comes from sharing the real authentic music that I want to be sharing right now.
Just based on that, my prediction is that it's going to do very well, and people are going to be happy and wanting to be more invested in you because you're being so honest and authentic. And those are the fans that stick with you. Yeah, it may take 10 plus years, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's better to
Absolutely.
have the slow incline as opposed to a massive elevator ride up and then a huge fall down. Because the issue I see with a lot of these artists that like come out, like have a huge like debut or anything like that, the issue that comes with that is your standard has been set up to here by the industry and by the consumers. So anything below that is not going to hit as well. And the fall down is way, way harder than the slow incline up.
Absolutely. I think, when you get there too fast, you're almost just not ready for it at that point. And the slow climb kind of prepares you for every step of the journey along the way. So once you get to the top, you really have the skills and you're prepared to be at that place.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing that comes with the success and fame and all that kind of stuff. It's when you're exposed to so much of it, and without really having that time to prepare or understand what's coming through, it makes it quite difficult to adjust. And having that incline over time and understanding the trials and tribulations of the industry, knowing how to deal with the snakes and the sharks and cutting them out from your camp, and finding the people that's authentic to you, your journey, your voice, and your message, it makes for a longer lasting, successful career in which you're happy as an artist.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Well, honestly, I have I'm happy. I'm very happy with this conversation. I could not be more thankful that you took the time to join me here today. And where can people find you and what you do?
You can check out my website, which is Nicole Rayy with 2 Ys.com. I'm also at Nicole Rayy Music on Instagram, Facebook.com/Nicole Rayy Music, and I'm at NRay on Twitter.
Fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Rayy, thank you so much for coming on. I'll be back soon with another new episode. Thank you guys for watching. Take it easy. Peace.